So for part 2, we're going to jump right back into eyeshadow palettes, and this is my MAC palette that holds all of my MAC single shadows. Now, this used to be completely full of MAC shadows. I have decluttered a ton of them recently. They have all gone to better homes where they are going to be used and loved, but this is what I have left. We'll just run through these really quick just in case you see any colors that you are interested in, because they are really good shadows. So first, here we have Cork. This is Tint. This is No Makeda Moss, which is from the original Selena collection. Very similar to Wedge. This is Kid, Rule, and Brun. This is Expensive Pink, Ruddy. This one is new. I forget what the name of this one is. This one is called Natural Wilderness. Then this is Dark Lullaby. This is from the Nutcracker Sweet collection. This is Freshwater, and this is Aphrodisiac. These three have been discontinued. Plumage, Bottle Green, Newsflash, Carbon, Bright Pink, and Up at Dawn. I believe Plumage has been discontinued. I know Up at Dawn has been discontinued. I'm not 100% about Plumage, but then I have one ColourPop palette here. This is the X's and O's palette. And again, with ColourPop, there have been eyeshadow palettes that I've been interested in, but then I go look at them at Ulta and I'm like, I have that. I don't need that. That's actually kind of ugly. But the X's and O's palette is very pretty, very much a color story that I can get behind. And I believe this is still at Ulta right now. But specifically this shade, I love this shade. It's like this pink duochrome that shifts between white and pink. I love it. Very warm toned. This is another palette that pulls pretty red, but I expected that looking at it. Not like the Morphe one that I was talking about in my previous video. Then I have the Lime Crime Venus Immortals palette. This is a black, white, and gray palette. I love this. I don't use it a ton, but if I want to do a traditional black smoky eye, just with grays instead of using browns in my transitions, I pick this up. These two shades are stunning. It's great quality, blends easy. This is the first Lime Crime palette I've ever been like, I need to have that. And it's perfect for me because it's only 8 shadows, because I don't use this kind of color story a ton in my everyday makeup, like never in my everyday makeup. But when I want them, I have them. That's why I have this palette. And then my last eyeshadow palette, this was a very hard decision for me to buy this. And it is the Pat McGrath Mothership Divine Rose palette. That is what that looks like there. Oh my God. This is like the most luxurious, heavy, hefty palette ever. And I went back and forth about which one of these I was going to buy, which one I wanted. It took me probably like a month and a half of debating and weighing the options, but after looking at them, it was these two shades that did me in. I mean, they're beautiful. They blend beautifully. They better for $125, but I'm not really sure why I said my Pat McGrath palette was my last palette to show you, because I've got my Anastasia palettes here. And the first one is the Modern Renaissance palette. It's ugly, I know, but my goal with this palette is to use it up completely, and I think I can, considering how many shades I have hit pan on. I think it'll be easy. I believe they still sell this, and if you're looking for a really good neutral palette, good everyday palette that has some kind of fun colors in it, this is great for that. Next, I have the Subculture palette. This, you either hated it or you liked it, and I ended up liking it for the most part. This is what it looks like. As you can see, I've hit pan on several shades. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And I truthfully did not find it to be as powdery as a lot of the people on the internet did. The only shades that I really took issue with were Cube and Electric. Not great. It's a very weird shimmer formula that just, it's really hard to make transfer onto the eye. But with this palette, I am going to try and use up as much as I can before I declutter it. To be honest, I probably will not use these two shades. They're not great. But overall, I like this palette. Then we have the Prism palette, which kind of got the same reviews, I guess is the word I'm looking for, or the same kind of hate. Not as vehemently as the Subculture one, but it wasn't as well received as other palettes have been. I, on the other hand, did like this color story, but to be honest, I haven't even used this one or this one on my eyes. This one is just weirdly, seems weirdly pressed. The same with Dimension. They just kind of seem, these, where is it, two, just kind of seem weirdly pressed. Not as soft and buttery as the other shimmers in here. But again, Anastasia's mattes are great, and I'm going to use up, again, what I can in this palette before I get rid of it. And then moving on to the Norvina palette. I have not used this one as much. I have used it a lot, specifically the shades Volatile and Passion. I love those two shades. I also like the shades Soul and Love. They're beautiful. But I have not used this one as much as my other ones. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's more pastel-y. I don't know. I need to start using this again. But this is really back to the modern Renaissance formula of shadows. So this one was much more well received than the previous two. And I do really enjoy this palette. Anastasia definitely has probably my favorite eyeshadow formula of all time. Pretty close to it. Then I have the Alyssa Edwards palette. I had to have this because Alyssa Edwards is my favorite drag queen. She cracks me up. She's hilarious. Now, this is such a colorful palette, and you can use it and make it neutral by just taking out the middle of the palette, basically. But you do get these fun colors, and I do appreciate that there's a matte white and a matte black in here, and I use this a lot. I have used it a lot, not recently because Corona, but I like this color story a lot. I like purples and pinks and blues, and then I love that this can be a neutral palette, so this is good to travel with if you wanted to. So then lastly for eyeshadow, I almost forgot about these because I literally just got them in the mail today, and they are shadows from the brand Sydney Grace. This is an indie brand that I've recently started to hear a ton about on the internet, and I was super interested. These, I believe, are like $5 a piece, and everybody that I have seen talk about them says that they're amazing. So I'm actually going to leave these in their packaging because I'm going to film a video with these. But this is the shade Blushed. I think this is something Hens. I don't know. And then I have like a purpley shade and a brown shade. So, but I will tell you all the names in the video that I film with these. So they're gonna go back in their box so I remember to film with them. Then what do we want to do next? Let's talk about blush. So moving on to blush, I'm looking at them, realizing that a lot of them are from MAC, which is fine because I worked for them, and that a lot of them are discontinued and you can't get any more. But we'll just run through them really quickly. So I have another one of these MAC like book palettes, and I have 6 blushes in here. So first we have Tenderling and Buff. Both are discontinued. Both are super neutral, natural blushes. Stay Rose and Stunner, which are also discontinued, but very beautiful. They look exactly like the first 2 I just showed you. This is Fever and Raisin, and I'm not sure why Raisin is in here. Raisin should be in my kit, right? This is Raisin, yeah. Raisin should be in my makeup kit, not in my personal makeup, so I'm not really sure why it's in here, but I love these. I use this more in winter, kind of further back on my contour, just to give like that frostbitten glow. Frostbitten glow, does that make sense? No, it doesn't. Then moving really quickly, this is from the Nutcracker Sweet collection. This is called Sweet Vision. This is actually called a Magic Dust Powder. This is what I have on my cheeks right now. This is beautiful. I love this. I'm going to use it all up. It just is such a big pan that it's taking forever. Then this is one that I used to use constantly. I don't know if this is necessarily a blush, but that's what I use it as. This is the Justine Sky Iridescent. Yeah, it's just called an iridescent pressed powder. This is beautiful, and at the time I was looking for a blush this color. So when this launched, I was like, yes, please, thank you. Again, I love it, and I've used a lot of it, and I will use it up. This one is also from Nutcracker Sweet, and this is the blush here. This is in the shade Pleasure Model. I love this one. I use it a ton in fall, so it's definitely the season for this blush. The texture of this is great. I love this. It's one that I use farther back on my cheeks again. And then the highlight in here, so we don't have to revisit it, is Whisper of Gilt. It's my favorite highlight. It's what I have on right now. It's great. Then chugging right along, this is the Into Eternity Electric Wonder Iridescent Pressed Powder. I think this was meant to be a highlight. This interesting marbled like blush and gold pattern. Here it is swatched out on my skin. This would be a beautiful highlight on a deeper skin tone. I use this as kind of like a blush bronzer topper. I don't know. I like it a lot for that. I have one on backup because I do use this a lot. I don't use a lot of it, but I use it almost every day, just kind of further back. Then I have 3 of the mineralized blushes. This is Gentle, Warm Soul, and what is this called? Like Me, Love Me. I love this blush. I wear this a lot. I actually wear these 3 a lot. Fall, Winter. Warm Soul I use as a bronzer in fall, winter, and this is one of my favorite summer blushes. I have this one from the Mariah Carey collection. This is Sweet Sweet Fantasy. That's one of my favorite songs by her, so I had to have this one. And again, it's just like a peachy color. So if you like the color of this blush, Like Me, Love Me is actually very similar. Maybe a little bit less pink, but looks almost identical. So then 3 more blushes and we will call it done for this part. I have the Morphe X Maddie Ziegler Cheek and Lip Mousse. These are great. These are great. I want more of these. I don't use it on my lips, but on the cheeks, it's beautiful. This is in the shade Peach Out. I have the ColourPop blush stick in the shade Cool It. These are beautiful. I want more of these, but I want to be able to swatch them at Ulta, so I'm gonna have to wait for Corona to be over with. I have one of the Buxom Wanderlust blushes in the shade Seychelles. This is such a good blush. So good. And then that does it for part 2. If you want to see part 3, hit that subscribe button and I will see you next time.